I want to see these guys take the steps forward as it relates to competing every single night. Not that they're not good, but they're so young. They're still a little bit unpolished. There wasn't a pick and roll that Jalen Duren couldn't switch. And when he got on to even quicker players or offensively minded players, he stood in front of them. You know, that's what I want to see out of Killian, is to cash in on the things that we all know. Defend, play make, and then improve as it relates to the shooting.
We got Brandon Dent, also known as Kool-Aid, in the studio.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's talk game tonight.
He smiles every 7
Magic
years.
Pistons. I'm thinking 32 and 50 for the year.
32 and 50.
That's my record. That's my record prediction. 32 and 50.
Yeah.
I think they're too young.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this team is still a year away from, I believe, making any real strides to actually competing every night. When they first dropped that line of "we're here to compete every night," Troy Weaver went a little bit more nuanced with that and stated, we're here actually trying to learn how to compete. So that then we can enter that phase that Memphis Grizzlies are entering now, which is the contending phase. So this is going to be a year of learning, similar to the preseason. This team was working on a lot. They weren't playing to their strengths, and Cade Cunningham said that via Omari Sankofa of the Free Press, Detroit Free Press. He stated, I'm going to ramp it up. I'm going to ramp it up a little bit. So, this team is learning. Casey said they're learning. He said their defensive ability to switch and all of that. It's going to be a working process, and it's going to be a long season. Not that they're not good, but they're so young. They're still a little bit unpolished. Even their best player in Cade Cunningham says himself he still has a lot to learn and improve on.
I think a big thing, too, to look for opening night is the rookies, Paolo Banchero and Jaden Ivey, two guys that I would even argue are going to be competing for the Rookie of the Year award. I think Keegan will be in that conversation simply because Sacramento is going to win some games. What do you expect out of Jaden Ivey tonight? What's best case scenario? Because the biggest thing to watch is the fit between Cade and Jaden. What are some things you're going to be paying attention to? You'll be live. You'll be with the press. We'll be down there as well. But what are your expectations for Jaden and Cade in that fit tonight? Yeah,
the number one thing, and I've continued to say it with Jaden Ivey, that I want to see is how composed does he play? Does he allow his speed to get him into trouble? Is he kind of jetting out ahead of himself and then jumping up and turning around and seeing who he can pass to? Because those are some things that got him into trouble at Purdue sometimes. It wasn't a lot, but it was something that kind of slowed his game down. So with Jaden Ivey, I'm looking to see, is he somebody that's going to utilize his athleticism and his speed to get to the rim and score, make a beeline to the basket? And I'm looking to see if he's going to play composed. It's not just having the speed. It's about if you can play at a pace that there's minimal turnovers, minimal mistakes. He's already young. He's still learning the game. So it's just seeing ultimately, does he fit?
Well, let me ask you this, all right? The reality is it's a young team.
Yes.
The interior presence, until Duren is that guy, I don't see it. Until they get out of their own way and stop getting so much foul trouble early on, that's going to be a problem.
Turnover
it's a young
issues
team,
too.
Unnecessary fouls, turnovers. That's why I have them at 32 wins. The talent's there.
Yeah.
They got a ton of talent. Jaden Ivey, uber athletic. Cade Cunningham going in a year two. And speaking of Cade, someone I think who could be a borderline all-star this year. But they're just so young. Isaiah Stewart, every day that goes by, is just becoming more and more of a stretch four. Duren, you're relying on him to really be your five of the future. I like to give him a comp of Robert Williams, except he's probably more dynamic offensively just a little bit. But if he could be if he could be 70% of the defender Robert Williams is, but 50, 60, 70% more of an offensive player, you have a damn good number 5 in today's NBA.
Well, listen. Be excited about Jalen Duren. Be excited. What I saw from Jalen Duren throughout the preseason on defense was how good he was switching everything. There wasn't a pick and roll that Jalen Duren couldn't switch. And when he got on to even quicker players or offensively minded players, he stood in front of them. He held his own. He didn't bite on the head fakes. He didn't bite on the crosses and things. Obviously, when they got into the lane, he has to clean up his ability, that foul ability that he has, the foul issues that he has, and become more prone to altering the shots, getting the blocks, and things of that nature. He got a couple goaltends as well. These are things that are going to improve as his time in the NBA goes on and he gets a little bit more mature in his NBA game. I'm hoping he can do it this season because early on, right off the bat, Jalen Duren's responsibility responsibility is going up with Marvin Bagley missing time, Nerlens Noel still coming back from injury. So he's going to have a great shot to prove early on if he can do what I call passing that big man triage. And that's being an active defender, an active rebounder, and how well is he playing the pick and roll game, which is something that Cade Cunningham and Marvin Bagley, that's where they made their money last year. As soon as Marvin Bagley got here, we saw this offense and this team take a little bit different trajectory, and then we could see kind of this hope, this future, even more so than what we believed before. So, you know, it's going to be interesting with Jalen Duren and Jaden Ivey, our rookies. I believe you're going to see their raw athleticism on display, but you're going to see some rookie mistakes as well.
And I think another thing Dwayne Casey kind of pointed out, and I love that he did this, by the way, is not put a cap on the win total. Because if you ask the players, I'm sure it's a different answer than what the organization expects. The players think, listen, we're here to win. We want to make the play-in. And then the coaches, Troy Weaver, probably a different perspective. Like, we want to see improvement. We want to take that next step. But as the beat writer, as somebody who covers the Pistons, what are your expectations? Because we've talked about this on Woodward Pistons, but now that you're on the show, I want to hear it from your mouth on opening day. What needs to happen this season? I asked Sean the same question for you to call it a successful year from a player perspective, a team perspective. What's your opinion on it?
I want to see these guys take the steps forward as it relates to competing every single night. The coaches, the front office, and the players all stated this is not going to be a year that we're getting blown out. This is going to be a year where people are going to know our names. This is not going to be a year where people are circling us on the calendar. These are the things that the team is saying, and guys like Jaden Ivey, among Cade Cunningham said, look, we're here to compete. We have winners. Isaiah Stewart talked about on defense, we got guys here that want to play defense. I want to see these guys playing hard every single night. We've talked about in years past with these teams that look like they're just not quite trying as hard, or certain players who, you know, hey, his motor isn't there, whatnot. I want to see these guys try hard. I believe their basketball IQ is high. I believe if they just do that and continue in the process with the development staff they have around them, they're going to take the necessary steps forward. And so win total, yeah, I'm somewhere between 30 and 35. But expectation-wise, I want to see these guys actually do what they stated, and that's compete every single night. No blowouts.
Well, someone that has to compete every night mentally, really, is Killian Hayes.
Yeah.
We've been talking about him for years. Preseason, he looked really damn good on offense. We know the potential he has on the defensive side of the ball. If I'm honest, he's arguably your best perimeter player on defense anyways. Mm-hmm. So he has value. How many guards are you? What kind of lineup are you going to play to have Killian out there alongside of Jaden Ivey, Sadiq Bey, and then Bogdanovic? I mean, the rotations Casey's going to have to figure out. But expectations for Killian, I don't want to put a stat line on it because I think he does much more than what the stat line would ever suggest.
Yeah.
But is there production you have to see offensively where you say, you know what, this kid's worth it, or you know what, this kid's working out for us? What is it?
With Killian Hayes, this is the interesting thing, and I was just telling this to Rod Beard and Mike Curtis of the Detroit News, and Sean joined us this morning on the Woodward Pistons podcast. The difference I saw to Killian Hayes this year in the preseason, at least, and what I've kind of seen when he's gotten out there in some of these other clips from summer, is he looks much more determined. He doesn't look like a guy who's wasting time or a guy who's just kind of out there going through the motions or trying to just run the play. This preseason, you see Killian Hayes out there directing the offense, pointing people to spots. Hey, come up here and set this pick. In years past, he's coming up and calling the play and waiting for the pick to come. Now I see him coming up and directing people, and they're coming up to set the pick, and you think it's for the pick and roll, and it's like, no, it's for the pick, and I got this shot. Go get any aspect of a rebound. That's been Killian Hayes. You know, and on top of that, he still found a way on this poor shooting team through preseason to average 6 assists a game. You know, he's taken some necessary strides. We want to see if this translates into the season, but I'm not going to discount him. We all stated towards the end of last season when he went on that run, we all stated, you know what, this is the Killian Hayes we want to see. This is what we want to see. So what we're seeing right now in the preseason is an extension. As we get into the season, I want to see him be solid. I want to see him be able to knock down some open threes. I want to see him do a little less of the step backs. I want to see Killian, like he stated, out of his own mouth, I want to be that defensive leader. And Jeff said, yo, he's talking about being a leader now?
Yeah.
You know, that's what I want to see out of Killian, is to cash in on the things that we all know that he can do well. And that's defend, play make, and then improve as it relates to the shooting.